Great riser, great being, great ending, depending on what part of time this reaches you. Sending peace, love, and blessings to everybody. Peace, love, and blessings to everybody. I'm gonna talk as loud as I can because, of course, when I walk, I talk. So please excuse background noise and bear with me if you have the patience to do so. I'm in a cloudy season within life right now because, not everything is going to be sunshine, and I'm a realist. I want to be able to share y'all my testimonies and what God is doing within me and for us real time. So over these past, I can say 2 weeks, I've been under I'm going to just say a gray cloud. And with that being said, with that gray cloud came a lot of tests. Some I passed, some I failed. So this video, this testimony is in regards to when you don't always pass the test. See, when you don't always pass the test, sometimes we can lose faith and we can lose hope in our trajectory, or where we see ourselves getting or going. And me, I feel like I have such a responsibility to do certain things that when I fail my test, it becomes a burden. And that's what this video is about. Not letting your test results become your burden that you carry moving forward. Because the longer this is a burden, the more of a distraction it becomes for you. And you can't see it for what the lesson is. And sometimes we fail the test or we don't pass because there's a lesson in it. And I told you, I made a video about that. Sometimes the blessing is in the lesson. So if you so caught up on the result, whether you passed or whether you failed, because sometimes we could pass the test and feel boastful and feel like we don't have nothing else to prove, but we always have work to do. But as far as failing the test, not allowing that to be a burden, because when it becomes a burden, you blind yourself and then you miss out on the blessing that's in the lesson. So for me, I failed. I backslid on the but in that, I was starting to beat myself up about it. I was starting to be very hard on myself. I was starting to lose faith. I was starting to lose hope in a lot of things that God has already claimed and showed me I can achieve and that I can have. So that's where I caught myself from allowing my failure to be a burden, but more so motivation. Sometimes you gotta let your failures motivate you. Sometimes you gotta lose or you gotta not get the result that you know you could have got to motivate you, to make you push and go harder than before. And that's where I'm at. Now that I don't fail, I see why I failed. I see how I failed. And I'm not just looking for the blessing in the lesson, even though most of the time the blessing comes from the lesson. But what I'm looking at is myself. I'm looking at myself. I'm looking at my relationships. I'm looking at my relationship with God first and foremost and how that plays into my other relationships. And then I'm looking at myself, the relationship I have with myself. See, when I backslid on the things that I backslid on, it did more damage to me than anybody else. And maybe my lesson is always being willing to sacrifice myself to please other people, and allowing that to be my motivation. For so long, most of my life, all my motivation has been tied to other people, and I never allow myself to be the motivation. Sometimes you have to allow yourself to be the motivation, the result within you to be the motivation. You got to pay attention to the pros and the cons of yourself, and you should want to master that and let that self-mastery be the motivation for why you are driven to get all the other things in life as far as your goals, your achievements, where you want to be in life, how you want to be in life, what you want your result to what results you want to see, you have to learn to be it. And not everybody, look, we all get lost and caught up with the people we are attached to, the situations we are attached to. But here's the thing. Those people in those situations don't have to be us at the detriment of who we trying to be. The results you want to see, you have to learn to be it. Because once you learn how to be the results you're trying to see, you can always have that result. You can always see that result every time you look in the mirror and not at somebody else. You have to learn to look at you and not everybody else. Yes, these people, they play a role. They have an effect. Situations have an effect on you. But here's the thing. You have the biggest effect on you in this world and in this life. And once you realize that, you will start to understand why your failed results aren't a burden. It's an opportunity. A failure is an opportunity to be better, an opportunity to try again, an opportunity to face adversity, an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to gain strength, an opportunity to be a better you. And not for everybody else. Everybody doesn't deserve that type of motivation for yourself in life. Not everybody deserves to be the reason you get up and go do that, because they don't even care. We let these people be our motivations just for them to show that they don't even care about us. They just care about what we can bring to the table, what we can do for them. Don't be that person. Don't be that person who I might have to make a word for this, becomes codependent on motivation by others. The only drive and the only motivation that you have within yourself isn't dependent on another person who you are attached to. No, before you are attached to anybody outside of your parents, you are attached to you, where you should be. And this is the stuff I had to tell myself, y'all. This is why I'm sharing it with you. This is why I'm making this video. I had to tell myself these things because I was starting to get caught up in the burden of a mistake, a burden of repeated failure. All because I had a lack of self-motivation that was only dependent on me and my relationship with God. See, once you get that balance of motivation figured out, you wouldn't dare carry these things that we carry as a burden. You wouldn't dare attempt to. So I almost fell back in depression, into depression, all because I was trying to carry a burden that I did not have to carry, because it did not have to be a burden. I was allowing it to be a burden. Too many times we are allowing these things in our life to become a burden that we carry in our life, when that's not what God sent it in your life to be. Not everything is meant for you to hold on and to drag along with you through life. So, you lost that job. Okay, well, figure out what it is in that situation that can make you better, and then keep on pushing, because there's more jobs. That one job does not have to be a burden that you carry around in your heart, your mind, and your soul. I used to be that. I used to work at this job called Roche. It was the best job I ever had. And then I lost it. And you know what? The loss of that job became my identity, all because I carried it as a burden. So right now I want you to think of all the things in your life that you carry along just because you allowed to be a burden. Now, think of those burdens. Think of those burdens and question those burdens and ask yourself, how many of those burdens do you identify as you at this very moment? Whether it was a failed relationship, whether it was a lost job, a lost opportunity, whether it was self-sabotage. Think of how you identify that. And see, the things that you identify with and how you identify yourself is the representation of how you see yourself. So how do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as the burden that you carry? Are you gonna learn to see yourself for you and understand that life happens to us all, and it's about mastering ourselves in life to reduce the amount of burdens we may have to experience or run into? So I hope y'all can learn from my testimony, because this dark cloud has been over me and I have failed. But like me, you too can catch yourself before you allow those failures to become burdens that end up having you depressed and low in your spirit. You can keep pushing, you can get through, you can get over it. Wake up. As always, never give up, never settle. Always be yourself. Always love yourself. One love, God loves. And yes, life is beautiful when you allow it to.
You heating up, Lavish?
Say they don't like vibe. Right, cause I say the wrong thing at the right time. Vibe by me like it's nighttime. Cranking side high, me and him gotta like mine. Live different lives, differences, I don't like mine. Maybe I should write mines. Either way, it's good music for the right vibes. I tune to it for a right mind. So many wrongs trying to right mine. Like I'm threading needles but out of nightline. Man, look at my hustle and flow. I just had to learn to hustle and grow. Never imagined all the places I go. Now my eyes wide open, I'm enjoying the show.